Hello everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of Connecting with Kim here in the new year. We're so glad you joined us today here on Tampa Bay Arts and Education Network. And you can also catch the audio for our show on Sun Radio, 96.3 FM in Sun City Center, and on stream. So we're so happy to be back in the chair making new episodes of Connecting with Kim. And before we start and I introduce my guest, I want to give a shout out, as I always do, to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay and the Spring Boutique. They provide my on-air wardrobe. I'm very grateful to them. And they, the net proceeds from both the thrift store and the boutique support the mission of the Spring of Tampa Bay, which is providing sanctuary and services to survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they do good work, and they've been doing it for a long time. So I want you to make me happy and go and shop at the thrift store and shop at the boutique. And you can check out my Connecting with Kim Facebook and Instagram accounts for pictures and descriptions of the wardrobe I'm wearing and what will be available at the boutique when we're done filming. We have a first-timer on Connecting with Kim, and we love that too, because it's always great to introduce not only myself, but you to people you need to know about. So my guest in the chair today is Bernadette Pello, who is the co-CEO and founder of Livingstone Academy, as well as some other enterprises that you are going to find out about today. Welcome, Bernadette, to Connecting with Kim.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So I start the show the same way, giving all my guests, you can take as much time as you want, to talk about your journey in life and what brings us to the point that we're sitting down today.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Well, I moved here, my husband and I moved here in '94, actually, so we've been in the Tampa Bay area for a long time, from upstate New York. I was pregnant at the time when we moved down, and I took a job transfer with the company that I was working with. And we have family here already. So a few years into our move, my husband is the principal at a private Christian school in the area, and he turned away several students a year that all had some sort of learning disability. So at the time, I was working for the Fortune 500 staffing company. He was working, and we both resigned from our jobs. Our family thought we were crazy. We took out a second mortgage, and we purchased materials, and we started Livingstone Academy for students with learning disabilities. And that sums up the journey really quickly. I've been with my husband. Our first date was Valentine's Day 1980. Ooh. And normally when I say that, somebody says, "Oh, I was 2 then." But we've been together a really long time. Married 34 years, and we work together.
Congratulations, because first of all, being married 34 years, but secondly, being married 34 years and working together.
Right.
So that's quite an accomplishment. I'm so happy for you, and you have an anniversary coming up, because we are filming this in January, and I happen to know you will have an anniversary coming up soon, so that's wonderful.
Yes.
Valentine's Day. Ooh, cool. I have a little Valentine's pin on today, a little heart with a cat.
Right.
So this sounds absolutely wonderful. So you started Livingstone Academy. Now let's talk about what kind of students attend Livingstone Academy, how it all works. I mean, I like to get right down into the bones of it all.
No, we appreciate that. So we'll be doing this now next school year, the 23-24 school year. We'll be celebrating 20 years. So put it on your calendar, because we're going to have a really big celebration August 8th. And, we're just going to celebrate everything that we've accomplished. We started with 4 of us on staff and under 30 students. And we now have 90 employees, and we have over 430 students.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Now, where is Livingstone Academy located?
So we have 4 locations. We have Seffner, Brandon, Valrico, and Riverview.
Okay. So how many students in each location, approximately?
It depends. So our Seffner location is our largest. We take students there from first grade through a high school program. We have a 24-credit high school diploma program. So all of our students are somewhere with a learning disability. They might be SLD, which means they're behind a year or 2 in specific subjects.
What's that? When you use acronyms, be sure to explain, because the audience out there may not know.
Sure. So SLD is just a specific learning disability.
Okay.
So it could be anything that they're behind. They need help in reading or math. We have students on the autism spectrum. We do have an autism center. And then we have an exceptional center, which is for our students that are lower functioning autistic. They might have some intellectual disabilities, Down syndrome. Then our two locations, Seffner and Riverview, are a little bit more general ed. If you were to walk in, it would just look like any other, private or public school.
And are all of them kindergarten to high school?
No. So typically, we're first. Most of our locations are first through 8th, except our high school programs.
Okay.
And then our autism center does take students in kindergarten.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we have 4 locations. We have about 400 students or so. We have a sizable staff. So you're doing really well. So how do these students come to you, and then how do they pay for this special schooling?
Sure. Most of our students are on a scholarship. I mean, we are. The state of Florida is great because we do have, parent options. So most of our students are on scholarship. Sometimes there might be a little bit of a difference, but we do not turn students away because we do not want the financial situation, to be a reason for them not to get the services that they need in order to be successful.
So how do they come to you? How do they find out about you?
Sure. A lot of our students are, word of mouth. We are out in the community. I mean, both my husband, Chris, and I feel that if you want to grow your business, you need to impact your community. And that's what we've done over the last 20 years. So we have so many partners in the community that help refer. A lot of them will go on to, the Step Up for Students, the school choice website, and we're listed there, as a school that takes the scholarships.
Okay. I've always wondered about that. Not having children in school myself in Hillsborough County, a lot of these things I don't know how it works and I don't understand, so I like to be educated too.
Absolutely.
That is so wonderful. So you've had, I guess I didn't realize, I see you all the time everywhere in social media, and I know we have a lot of mutual friends. I didn't realize it had been 20 years.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. I'm so happy for you.
It is. And every time we launched a new location, it took so much work to do. And I told my husband, it's just so stressful. I don't want to start another location. And then what did we do in 2022? We started Florida Trade Academy.
Yeah, I was just
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that. I have one more question about Livingstone Academy. So when they graduate, especially from your high school program, do your students go on to higher education?
Absolutely they can. Some of our students will go on to, a trade school. Some of them can go on to the 2-year programs like HCC. A lot of our students, just like any other students right now, they'll go right into the workforce. And so, again, that kind of transitions into FTA because, we wanted to have options out there, for our students and other students. Because what we found with Florida Trade Academy is there's other students from area high schools that are not going on to college.
Well, and I think if the pandemic showed us one thing, and it showed us a lot of things about ourselves, but if it showed us one thing, it demonstrated in a very tangible way that we do not have enough people in trades.
Oh, absolutely not.
And we cannot be sending everybody to college to get a college degree to sit behind a computer terminal.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just not going to work.
Right.
And we need to encourage the trade. So I'm so excited. So I tell you, these two people, Chris and Bernadette, are very enterprising people. And I think you can tell that already. So now let's talk about Florida Trade Academy.
Sure. So Florida Trade Academy, we started, partnered with ABC Contracting, and so we are doing the pre-apprenticeship program for the construction trades. And so our classes are virtual, they're online, a couple hours a week, a few nights a week, and then we do have some in person where they'll have to come in and show some skills, how to use tools, etc. But most of it is virtual, so the students can live anywhere, and they're guaranteed a job when they come out of our program. So they have, like you said, there are so many, needs in the community. We need more plumbers, electricians, HVAC. We need all those people. So we partner them up, they get a job, and then they go on to finish their certifications.
Well, and the thing I try to tell people is you can earn, think about it. If you talk about quality of life, you can earn a very decent living, I mean decent living, in a trade, and you can work regular hours.
Absolutely.
I mean, there aren't a lot of careers. I mean, I came from the business world. I worked for IBM. I could tell you, I put in 60 hours a week.
Right.
I had to travel. I had to do things on my own. So if you talk about on my own personal time, so if you talk about quality of life, these are quality of life issues in my opinion.
Absolutely, and a lot of our tradespeople, will become entrepreneurs. They'll get the training, they'll get the client base, and they'll start their own companies.
So Florida Trade Academy just started this last year, right?
2022.
Yeah, so how many students do you have enrolled so far?
So we're just finishing up our beta classes. We really wanted to start small because we have the potential to cover the whole state of Florida.
Or beyond.
Well, right now, let's go with the state of Florida.
Oh, no, I found a new opportunity for you.
But so we started with 2 beta classes because we really wanted to make sure that we got our procedures down. We wanted to make sure that we, dotted all the I's and crossed our T's. And it's worked out really well. Honestly, our biggest hurdle has just been some of the technology. You know how virtual works if there's a storm or something like that. But honestly, everything else has gone really, really well.
And so these 2 beta classes covered what? What trades?
So we're the prereqs for the construction trades.
Okay.
So now what will happen is in the spring semester, they'll go on to a specific category like HVAC. So in the beginning, it's the core training that all of the trades need. So that's what we concentrated on in the beta classes.
Well, I asked because you mentioned plumbing.
Yes.
So, I mean, my first thought was, well, how many trades are you going to try to cover in this?
Yes, so with the construction trades, we're covering 8 of the trades.
Okay, so why don't you share what those are?
Well,
in case somebody out there doesn't know that.
Yes, so we have HVAC, we have the fire and sprinkler, we have the plumbing, the electrician, all of those related type. And then actually we've also partnered, we are going into the jails and we're doing a modified program for them as well. I'm working on bridges and roads. So when the inmates come out, they'll have opportunities right away, and hopefully we'll keep them working so that they don't have to return back.
Well, I think that's fantastic because, so are these, when you say these 8 trades, is it home construction, building construction, or is it all of it?
Well, it depends because, we need HVAC everywhere.
Right.
So once they get those core skills and then they go on to their certifications for the actual trade that our students choose, then the sky's the limit.
Okay, so when they come out of the school, then they have to get what, licensed by the state or some kind of certification certificate?
Yeah, so what happens is they'll get their core training, and then we'll get them a job, probably with one of the ABC, contractor partners. And then the company that they go to, then they will get, hands-on experience, and then they will send them on to get their apprenticeship.
Okay, so it's continuing. If you're just joining me now, this is a good time. If you're just joining me now on Connecting with Kim, my guest in the chair today is Bernadette Pello, who is the co-CEO and founder of Livingstone Academy, and now is also Florida Trade Academy, which is what we've just been discussing. And she's involved in a lot of other organizations, which we'll get to. But that's who we're talking to today, and it's just so fascinating. So and you talked about working with the folks incarcerated, which I really applaud that. I know the Sheriff's Department has a program that they do to teach trades. Right. For incarcerated people, because it's never made sense to me that if you don't want them to reoffend,
right,
you have to have something, you have to provide a place to live, or at least the means. You have to provide, or at least the means of getting a decent job. You have to give them their life back if you want them not to return to what they were doing before.
Absolutely. And like I said, we want to make an impact in the community. So, if we can do that through helping our families with students with special needs, if we can help, drive our younger adults, but even though it's not just for younger adults, into the trades in order to help get them jobs. And if we can help, our inmates not return back and become inmates again, I'll be thrilled with that.
Well, it's like, I always explain to people that are, I'm sure you've had the experience of people coming to do work at your house, right? Absolutely. Whatever it is. I always try to explain to them, rework is a cost.
Right.
It's not you're not making profit on rework.
Right.
So you need to do it right the first time, because every time you have rework, that just costs you something.
Absolutely.
And the same with recidivism. If you can't return this person to a productive, contributing member of society, and they have to come back, that's cost.
It is.
And a big one.
It is.
So I think this is wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, so we've covered Livingstone Academy. I want to ask you about something triggered in my mind about the Autism Center. So help me understand. So do these people come to you for a specific period of time, or is it something that they can come? Because sometimes those people on the spectrum, they stay on the spectrum. They might make progress, but they don't come off the spectrum.
Correct. So we have students on the spectrum at more than just the Autism Center. So they're at our other locations as well. It just depends on how much support they need. You know, we've had, you know, our graduating seniors, a few of our valedictorians have been on the spectrum. And so it's just a wide variety. No two students are the same. They're all very different, which is what we pride ourselves on doing. You know, we want to get the most out of a student in whatever way that we can, you know, to help them use the tools that they already have. But our students that have, you know, maybe they need ABA therapy, maybe they need a lot of support, maybe they need a one-on-one person walking with them all day, then those students will go to our Autism Center. You know, it's a smaller environment. Our Seffner location and our Riverview location, we might have 20 students in a class with 2 adults, which is a really great ratio.
No kidding.
But you go to our Autism Center, there might be 8 to 10 students in a class, and there might be 4 or 5 adults, and sometimes more. So that's the difference in the needs of our students.
Okay, so I guess I probably didn't phrase my question
Sure.
correctly. So at some point in time they leave you, though. At some age or some point in time they leave you.
Correct.
Okay, so what?
Correct. Well, no, our students can stay with us until they graduate.
Okay.
And so they'll either graduate with the 24 credit, you know, high school diploma, or they'll graduate with a certificate program.
Okay.
So it really just depends, you know, and once they get into that middle school, we start assessing, you know, deciding, you know, helping decide where they're going to go, what the best fit is, and we're meeting with the parents, you know, to make those recommendations.
Wonderful. So some of these people also go on to leave with a degree, or with a diploma, so to speak, or a certification, and they get jobs.
Oh, absolutely. We have several students that are out in the community working. You know, one of them, we had a student who, you know, was just behind, but really had trouble with the reading and math. But his people skills were amazing. So he did get a job with a very large grocery store and was quickly promoted into the customer service. Like, I love, you know, that our kids are going to be productive citizens.
What a success story!
It is, yeah.
And I think we could probably guess who the grocery store chain
Sure.
was.
Right.
They have been for long.
A great employer.
Yeah, great employer and active in the community in that
Yes.
way. And they have a charitable foundation also, which does great work.
Right.
So, all right. Well, you know, I want to cover KNOW too, because that's an important thing that you're involved in.
It is.
So there's an organization, folks. It's called KNOW. It's a global media company whose mission and focus is to encourage entrepreneurial and successful women. Did I get that right?
That's pretty good.
That's
pretty good.
You
yes.
can give the definition that you. I mean, I remember this was about a year ago or so. I was at the Regent. I picked up this book. I was
Yes.
there for some event, and I picked up this book and I started leafing through it, and I saw all these wonderful pictures of these beautiful women, and I started reading about their bios, and I thought to myself, well, I want to be in that book.
Right. So
And then you and I started talking.
Our book is just one, you know, of the byproducts of being in KNOW. Every year we publish a new book, and there's 50 to 65 women in the book. But in the Tampa Bay area, we have over 700 members. So that book is just a snapshot
Right.
of the women. But I love it. So it's KNOW.
Right,
I always have to correct
KNOW.
men. It's women that you should know and do business with. And I joined in late 2019. And so my whole first year, 2020, no live events because of COVID.
Right.
But I had a wonderful experience. I connected with so many women. I signed up for every virtual option, and I made it my mission to connect with at least 2 women on every call. And I thought first, like, why do I need to network outside my bubble? Because who's going to send their students to me if they live 2 hours away? It didn't make sense.
Right.
But what I found was I have resources in North Carolina now. I have a woman in Canada that I contact for some marketing advice. And just the women in the Tampa Bay area, the connections are endless.
So tell me, I know you guys, because there might be women out there that don't know about this
Sure,
organization.
absolutely.
I know we keep using that word, but it's KNOW,
Right.
and it's a global media company. I
It
mean,
is.
they're everywhere. So, I mean, they're all across the U.S., and they're in other countries.
In Canada, yes.
Yeah, okay. So tell me how the events work and how many events they have. I know that you, I have to say, she's invited me to a couple events, and my schedule just...
We'll get you there.
I know, my schedule just didn't allow it, but it's something I'm intensely interested in, so it's on my 2023 priority list. So tell me about the events and what happens and how it works from there.
Sure. A lot of the events are really connections. There's not a lot of organized programming in most of our events. We have girls' night out, we have brunches, we have our launch party once a year, which is when we launch the new book. That's the only time you'll see pretty much men at events, because it's Bring Your Plus One. That's our huge celebration. But we also started another event, the Focus Series. So this past August, we had a focused event. It was a half-day summit type event, because we do have a summit in Phoenix, which is where our CEO, Sarah, is from, and that's where she's based out of. So not everybody obviously can fly to that. So she did some in local markets. We did it at the Regent, and it was a huge success. So out of that came the mini series. So it's bi-monthly. We had our first one this past week, and so we're going to have 3 more, and that'll lead up to the big event in August. And we have panels, we have the fireside chats. It's just a wealth of information from women. And then during the big event, we also had a power hour where we had very successful women all sitting at tables, and it's that clock, the buzzer goes and then you move on to the next table.
It's like speed dating.
It is. But the information that you got during those few minutes with those people was incredible, and the feedback was wonderful.
I know. I saw, you had a favorite of ours, Dottie Groover Skipper.
Love her.
Yeah. And Dottie, she's in the hospital right now, so we're sending out positive vibes to her because we want her to get well.
Yes.
But Dottie Groover Skipper and several other people that I knew, several other women.
Yeah, Dottie was, I did her interview for the fireside chat. I mean, she's just a powerhouse.
She's fun.
And the title of that event was Focus, Make That Money, Honey. And what I loved was listening to the stories that Dottie told of the people that wrote these big checks to support her. And like, who doesn't want to do that? That's what I want to be able to do. Like, I want to be able to donate to help all these really solid, worthy nonprofits that we have in our area. And it is one thing about KNOW Women. Like, most of us, we have our job, our career, whatever it is, but almost every KNOW Woman is attached to a nonprofit or some sort of give back organization. And so, that's what we do. I mean, KNOW also has a KNOW Cares division, which is the nonprofit.
Well, I'm amazed when you told me 700 people in the Tampa area.
Yes.
I mean, I had no idea it was that large.
Well, because it's Pinellas, it's Hillsborough, it's Pasco.
Well, it's Tampa Bay.
It's Tampa Bay.
Right, yeah, and we consider that too. When we say Tampa Bay, that's what we mean.
Right.
So we have about less than 5 minutes left, and as I always like to give my guests, particularly if they are running nonprofits, I always like to give them an opportunity to look into their own camera, because they have their own camera, and take as much time as they want. I will have to cut them off eventually, but take as much time as they want to deliver any message they want to you who are watching and listening out there. So, Bernadette, look in your camera and talk to the folks about anything you want.
Okay, perfect. So probably we have 2 options. Livingstone schools, all of our funding does come from the scholarships. So we're always looking for partners to donate, to help us with playgrounds, technology, things along those lines. But then with FTA, we did establish the Florida Trade Academy Foundation. And so what we're looking for that is for partners in the community. It can be personal or corporate, but for companies to donate so that we can ensure that all of the students that come in, if they're not eligible for financial aid, if they're not able to get a grant, we do not want finances to prevent them from attending our school, because we want to get them good jobs. So if you feel led, please reach out to me. We would love to have you as a donor.
Wonderful. And I am so thrilled that you could join me today on Connecting with Kim, because I really, when I have a guest on, I always do a lot of research online. Right. I mean, I go to their websites, I crawl all over it. I do every drop-down menu. I look at who their board is. I look at their leadership teams. And so by the time you sit in this chair, I know if I didn't know before. Right. And that does happen because, I become acquainted with people who want to be on the show that I don't know anything about, right? I know a lot about you by the time you sit in that chair. But I always approach these discussions as if I was that person sitting out there that didn't know anything. Right. So I like you to go through every detail and share everything so that those people out there know that you're doing great work,
Thank you.
that they might want to either come and volunteer, they might want to contribute, they might want to get involved in some other way, and that is the whole goal of what I try to do here on
And we
Connecting with
appreciate
Kim.
that. Yes.
Is making sure that everybody out there is aware of, because I think personally, and I think you might agree with me, that we seem to be really blessed in the Tampa Bay area with a plethora of nonprofits and charities that are doing great work.
Many.
Are you
So
are
many.
you finding that too in your travels?
Yes, I mean, and I serve on a couple nonprofit boards as well. There's, if I had $1 gazillion, I would love that to support. But we do have really great nonprofits in the area, all doing, great work.
I say that to God every week when I go to buy the lottery ticket. I always say to God, now you know that if you let me win, I will give this money all over the place because I know all these.
I say that with my scratch off.
Say that every week. I said, please God, let me win. Well, Bernadette, I want to thank you for being on Connecting with Kim. Really appreciated you being here, and you're welcome to come back and visit with us. And I appreciate it so much. So if you're just joining us, my guest today on Connecting with Kim was Bernadette Pello, who is the co-CEO and founder of Livingstone Academy, who works with and educates children who have learning disabilities, and that could be a very broad definition. Is also the co-founder of the Florida Trade Academy, and she's part of the KNOW, which is Women You Want to Know. KNOW, sorry. KNOW. Women You Want to Know in the Tampa Bay area who are making a difference. So thank you again for joining us today on Connecting with Kim. Another shout out to my sponsor, the Spring of Tampa Bay, who provides my clothing for the show from the Spring Boutique. Please go and visit them because the net proceeds support a great mission of sanctuary and services to survivors of domestic violence and their children. And they do great work. They do education. They do all kinds of wonderful things. If you don't know about them, go to the Spring of Tampa Bay and look at them up. On the web. And so that's all we have time for today. Again, our mission on Connecting with Kim is bringing you people, places, and entities that make your life in our corner of paradise just a little bit better. Come back next week.